Hello again. Like everybody else, I've found that I seldom have any real money in my pocket these days. It's ages since I've handled a real pound coin. Since the COVID business, absolutely everybody has been accepting payments by card, even for the most trifling expenditure. Before COVID, many places had lower limits of £5 for paying by card. But these days, even buying a book for 50p from a charity shop can be done by using a debit card. It cannot be long before actual solid coins and banknotes fall completely out of use, and all our transactions will be virtual ones, undertaken simply by the exchange of digital electronic signals. This is certainly more convenient, but are there any disadvantages? Well, of course, one point is if I pay by a card, this can be traced and checked, not just by the police either, but by individual companies and non-governmental organisations. So I visit a supermarket and buy something, then I catch a tube train paying with my card, and later on I buy a book. All this means that it's possible to reconstruct my movements for that time. Then too, what happens if for some reason my bank blocks my card and prevents me from using it? I immediately become very poor, completely poor, because I no longer have any money at all. I cannot buy so much as a loaf of bread. It is suggested that part of the drive to discourage people from using banknotes and coins is driven by the desire to control us and keep an eye on what we are doing. Then too, once everybody is wholly reliant upon electronic currency in this way, suppose that something happened to destroy the mechanisms by which those transactions take place. Overnight, we would be reduced to utter poverty. The use of electronic banking means placing an awful lot of power in the hands of those running the banks and trusting them not to cheat or rob us. This uneasiness feeds into the idea that the World Economic Forum, a non-governmental organisation founded 50 years ago and run by a Swiss man called Klaus Schwab, has just such a plan for abolishing private property and making us all dependent upon a world government which will replace our national governments. I do not say that this is so, merely that many people believe it to be true. Soon after the COVID epidemic began, the WEF decided upon a policy called the Great Reset, which they said will entail reforming capitalism. Of course, this new dependence on electronic banking certainly coincided with COVID and the talk of the Great Reset. Even before this, though, even before there was mention of the Great Reset, there was a suspicion that the World Economic Forum was planning to make us all poor so that we might be more readily controlled by a combination of multinational commercial companies and shadowy organisations, some associated with the United Nations. This, it claims, will be an embryonic world government. In 2016, the WEF released a video with 8 predictions about the future. A Danish politician called Ida Auken wrote one of these, namely that you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. What you want you'll rent and it'll be delivered by drone. This has been assumed to be a plan of the WEF. In other words, this is what they actually aim to bring about by nefarious means. Ida Auken herself, though, said that she didn't mean that her prediction would be a desirable state of affairs, just that this seemed to her to be the way that the wind was blowing. This then is the fear of some people, that the trends which we are now observing, things like globalisation, the decreasing use of real physical money and so on, are harbingers of the future. and that if we are not careful, we will find that our nations have withered away and been replaced by a world government, one which controls us more effectively than any dictatorship in the past has ever been able to do. Not only will our money be controlled, but a system of social credit will be instituted, similar to that which we see in China. In short, many people see the WEF as a mortal threat to our freedom and believe it to be working actively to shape the future of the entire world.